BYDFi is a crypto exchange on desktop and mobile where you can spot trade, futures trade, use leverage tokens, and copy the trades of top traders. If you sign up with the link in the description, you get a free $100 when you deposit $100. There's hundreds of crypto available on their spot exchange, as well as a free test account so you can practice futures trading without getting wrecked. BYDFi.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at some of these coins. In fact, we're just going to look at Chainlink today, and Bitcoin obviously moving exactly as expected. And a little bit of a rundown. We had XRP from the signal we were talking about, what was it, 3 or 4 days ago now, working out exactly as expected. Atom moving up exactly as expected. So let's have a look to see if Chainlink is going to do anything that I expect. So we'll talk about the short-term time frames just to begin, but mainly this is going to be a long-term time frame video based around buying and holding and just keeping this throughout the duration of this bull market. A little spoiler alert is that Chainlink seems to have its own cycle. We'll look at that in a minute. And the cycle peaks before all the other altcoins. And so if there is something that might peak and you could sell before other things have peaked, so potentially being able to reinvest some of the profit for what could just be, like a short-term trade to see other altcoins that reach their new all-time highs later on down the line. Chainlink could be one of them. I'd call it, in many ways like a diversifier for your portfolio in a way, but also it's a decent thing to hold long-term. But in the short term, nice little setup has begun. So we've crept outside of the cloud. That's no big deal, but we've got a green portion of the cloud. We've got a cross here. We've got price action above the cloud, and the cheeky span is closed above the cloud also. That's a 4-component Ichimoku cloud pump signal. These are the ones that we like to see, and it's on a 4-hourly as well. So if that works, it should work to a reasonably large extent. You move up into the next level of resistance, and given the fact that the next level of resistance is literally fractions of a percent away from where we are already, I would imagine that this signal has enough power to break that. So if we just zoom out a little further to have a look at where the next sort of major resistance would be, we've got one at $6.87, between $6.87 and maybe around $7.27, roughly thereabouts. So that's a reasonable move based on a single indicator. Now it doesn't have to pump from the actual pump signal. We'd be looking for maybe a pullback into a significant area of support. So at the moment on the 4-hourly, we're surfing the 7 simple moving average. That would have been the last place you would have been able to have caught a dip being bought. A pullback to any one of these moving averages would be worthy of an opportunity worth taking on this 4-hourly. We go to the momentum. We're quite high on the money flow index, so I think that pump signal probably will have a pullback before it pumps. So those of you who are like wanting to long this, for instance, I wouldn't fancy doing that right now. You'd wait for a pullback first. The pullback will mostly be given to us probably from a pullback on Bitcoin. We'll have a look at that at the end of the video. But yeah, it's a decent setup here for obviously buying into to Chainlink for a short pump signal, or just generally buying into what is an accumulation range, which takes us to the long-term view of Chainlink. So we'll go to a daily to start with. So the daily has been in this more or less this range for about a year now. So this is one of the first altcoins that I bought in this bear market when we came down to this level around the $6 zone. I bought quite a substantial amount of it last year when we first came into it. So I thought that is an opportunity for me to just buy a load of Chainlink. That's a decent price for Chainlink. $6 or below is absolute. That's a must buy. Now, I use this often when I talk about altcoins on the long term. I use Ethereum as an example of what happened last bull market, right? So I bought Ethereum at $160, give or take, around 2019, when it appeared that the bear market had come to an end and we were looking at some kind of bull moves, and more along the lines of the fact that we were going into a bullish cycle. So let's just have a look at what that generally looks like for me, all right, when I bought this. So I bought around 2019, about $160. So roughly around here is where I bought. And look, I went up, I went down, I went down, I went down, I went up. I was all over the place. This is basically a very large and long, drawn-out accumulation period before it suddenly became cool and everybody wanted it. And I still hold that Ethereum. 37 of them I bought at the time. I still hold them. And look, I'm 10x up now. At some points I was down, I was down. My investment was in negatives. I haven't actually lost money on it because I haven't sold. The idea is that I'm trying to put across here, what I'm trying to convey here, is that for the most part, I bought into this for an investment to which I'm still invested in, right? And for about just short of 2 years, it was sideways. It was absolutely sideways to the max. Similar to how it has performed, when we came down here. So, this is June 2022, so that formed the absolute low for Ethereum, and we've been in a sideways accumulation zone, I would say, before we're going to pump out this again some point later on, probably next year and beyond, where we would leave this as a significant low, and this area here would be the equivalent of my $160 buy on Ethereum. So I tried to put this into perspective for everybody when you're talking about buying for the long term. Right? A bull market isn't just an up only market. A bull market can go through long sideways periods of accumulation, and if we see anything that's been accumulating for a long sideways period, it is Chainlink. Right? And Chainlink isn't a Mickey Mouse project or anything like that. It's a very large, competent blockchain that offers a lot of solutions for a variety of different problems. It's a big deal, and more than that, what I prefer about it is that it's old, right? It's old. And with age comes maturity on charts. And if I can look at this chart, I would say that there's likely to be some form of cycle, a rinse and repeat cycle. Also, interestingly enough, in the previous bear market, 2018, it actually outperformed Bitcoin on its downtrends. Obviously, it would have lost you money in dollar form, but it would have gained you Bitcoin for the most part, even in the bear market. Then the bull market came, and it basically peaked way before everything else. It peaked before the alt season. So, I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen again. I'm just saying that it's a diversifier, something that's worth thinking about. And if you're looking to buy into something for the long haul that could probably yield a 10x or more, I think that this is the one. So recognize what I'm saying here. Like buying into a sideways accumulation period, you're not going to be buying the top or the bottom. You'll be buying into it with an expectation that down the line, about 2-3 years from now, you will have sold it for a decent amount. And you could probably reinvest that profit into something else if you felt like you wanted to take that kind of risk. Otherwise, you could probably pull out way before the market peaks and enjoy the gains. Now, it's just like the Ethereum 160 is what I'm trying to say here. It's just like that. So buying into this $6 to $9 area, which is the accumulation range that we find ourselves in for Chainlink, the $6 to $9 zone is basically an accumulation range. And it might sound like a very large range, but that's pretty standard for altcoins. Accumulation ranges can be within a 100% range. This is less than that, but it's still quite a large range. And right now we're sitting at 6. Probably the bottom of this range will be around 5, and the top of it is about 920 from what I recall. And so we're right, less than lower middle of this area. Where's the top of the range? Yeah, 930, 940. So if you're looking to buy into the Chainlink for the long haul, this is it. This is the Ethereum at 160. This is basically what it is. And what should you expect right now? Nothing really. Yeah, there's a 4-hourly pump signal there that could yield you a 8, 10, 12, 20% maybe. You could maybe move up to the top of the range. That's all perfectly fine to do that based on what we saw on that pump signal. But what should you really expect as a long-term investor? Nothing. Sideways, dollar cost average into this accumulation zone and sell when it reaches or gets close to reaching its new all-time highs, which honestly is most likely not going to be for at least another year or so. But either way, short term looks good, long term looks good, so it's good. So let's have a look at Bitcoin just very briefly. So Bitcoin found itself being born on its daily Bollinger Band, upper Bollinger Band. So now it's getting sucked back within to the band. That's fine. That's fine. So you'll be looking for a retest of a little lower, probably around 27,500, maybe even a retest of this range, 27,250. A pull back into those levels and sustaining that as a level of support is likely to catch another bounce, and we'll be moving back up again. So I'll be looking for a little bit short-term downside on Bitcoin maybe today, which should allow for altcoins to get pulled back as well with it. But this is all very good for Bitcoin and altcoins. Again, it's all off the back of that Hong Kong stuff. Now we've got the pump signal on Bitcoin as well. It's generated around 27,000, so it's not too high from where we're at right now. Not based on a 4-hourly, you'd expect higher from that. If we can maintain areas above 27,400, you get a golden cross above the level of support. So it all looks quite good, but I would still favour a bit of downside, a bit of pullback into these levels and then continuing up. Just all be a little cautious at the beginning of the month when that China news comes to fruition. Might cause a dump. That's going to be on Thursday, I believe. So we've got a few more days of this buying the rumour into probably selling the news on Thursday, and then we'll see what happens when the news has been sold. If the fundamentals are real, and this is something actually to be excited about, that dump that will come on Thursday would likely be one that gets bought back up again. We'll see. We'll see how hard the dump is. If it's really bad and it breaks the charts, we'll allow for it to settle unless it remains above certain areas of significance, like the weekly Bollinger Band Center, which is where we've more or less tagged on this last stage of the pullback. Here, if we can maintain levels above 26,100, excellent. That's all very good, and we should think about that as just another dip to be bought. Either way, though, I know people are afraid of crypto, and it's difficult for some people to imagine, what's going to happen in 2 years. But for me, my imagination requires no more than just a rinse and repeat carbon copy of the previous cycles of Bitcoin. And so if that is the case, really, just accept that you're not buying the bottom, you're not buying the top, you're buying into something that's likely going to work out over a 2 to 3 year period. That's Bitcoin, and I believe strongly that is also Chainlink. Right, I will leave it with you there, but thank you for watching, guys. I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.